Right. Joining us on the line right now is a four-time former WWE Intercontinental Champion, of course, a WWE Hall of Famer, a former seven-time WWE Tag Team Champion, as well as a WCW TV Champion and two-time U.S. Champion. He is, of course, one of the greatest of all time, the bad guy, Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon. Scott, how is everything going? Welcome to the Two-Man Power Trip.
Hey, yo. Thanks for having me, man. That was quite an introduction. I didn't know I'd had that many gimmicks in my career.
Yes, and easily one of the greatest of all time. But, of course, we're talking to you today because on Sunday, November 3rd, over in California at the Wrestling Guy store, the world-famous Wrestling Guy store, from 2 to 4 p.m., you will be signing autographs and taking pictures. And this is going to be a first-time event for the Wrestling Store Guy in Huntington Park, California, as the Outsiders, Hall and Nash, will make an appearance. What are your thoughts on heading out to California?
Well, I always love going to Cali. I mean, I'm going to hang out with one of my best friends in the world and, at this point in my career, I'm watching the WWE Network right now, and God bless this thing, because I'll be at a signing, and little kids will come up to me and throw up the click sign or talk about, oh, your ladder match with Shawn at WrestleMania 10. I go, wait a minute. You weren't even a glimmer in your dad's eye when that match happened. And they go, no, I saw it on the network. And, I mean, it's just, I love interacting with the fans. I love hanging out with my buddy. There's great restaurants in Cali, so anytime they ask me to come there, they don't have to ask twice.
The greatest thing about you in particular, and obviously Kevin as well, is there is always such a long line, and you can kind of attribute that a little bit to the WWE Network, of course, with the younger fans. But am I right on that? You guys always are still so popular, and you always have, like, the longest line whenever I'm at these autograph signings.
Well, I mean, don't jinx us, but yeah, bro, it's really it's really flattering and amazing and humbling, and to me, like, me and Kev enjoy interacting with the fans. I mean, if you wait in line for a couple hours to come and tell me how cool I am, I got time for you. You know what I mean? I'm available. But I mean, right now too, you got to admit you're in the wrestling industry. Right now is a great time to be a wrestling fan or a wrestler or associated with wrestling in any way. I mean, there's wrestling on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, two companies on Wednesday nights. Like Friday night. It's just crazy. Wrestling is red hot again worldwide, and I'm just enjoying it.
And you mentioned that you're watching WWE Network and stuff. Do you still keep up with current wrestling as far as watching a lot of these shows that we were just talking about?
Yeah, I'm watching the Crown Jewel thing now. I really was looking forward to seeing Brock and that Cain Velasquez. They opened the show. And then I want to see this Tyson Fury and, what he does with the big guy. I don't know, it's good stuff. They always load these cards up right now. Right now, Cesaro is wrestling the Saudi Arabian kid, Samur or something. But, yeah, it's just, the production value and the money that they're making these days. And, AEW is blowing up. Impact Wrestling is going in a new direction. ROH is still hanging in there. I don't know, man. I wish I was about 40 years younger. It's starting all over again.
Hey, that's very, very true. You would be dominating. So what do you think of what you saw so far as Crown Jewel? And obviously loaded up the card with a ton of stars, and Lesnar really beats Velasquez kind of quickly. But what have your thoughts been so far on kind of how they've handled the booking?
I think everything is great, and I love the way that, I study what goes on in all aspects of our industry, not just what happens in the ring, but I like to watch behind the scenes, everything. And just the way that the WWE has gone about educating the fans in Saudi Arabia. Like, at first, they notoriously came late to the show. Like, the show started and nobody was there yet because they're not conditioned to that. And they weren't really responding to the matches, cheering and booing and stuff the way they do customarily in the U.S. But after this is about the third or fourth time over there now, the fans are already getting educated to how to enjoy the show to the maximum. To cheer, to boo, they're having fun with it. And it's just great to see. Later tonight, they're going to have the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia. So you can say what you want. I know the WWE took a lot of heat for continuing to do business with Saudi after the one reporter was killed and stuff. But you know, in their defense, you can't change anything by staying away. So, you know, they don't agree with the guy being assassinated, but they can't change it by sitting in Stamford, Connecticut. So, you know, all they can do is come and show the American way, you know, up close and personal. I don't know. I think it's a good thing.
And it is interesting that Lesnar starts off the card instead of kind of main eventing the card, too. Is that a little bit different, a little bit of a change? I know they did that once before.
No, when you're around the WWE, that's the way they started. It's going to be a long show. They want to start it off with a bang. Plus, got to remember, Kane ain't had many matches at all. I think he wrestled once in Mexico. Now he's, you know, wrestling Brock in this huge show. Put him on early and get it over with. It's better than sitting around in the back for hours worrying. Go out there and get it over with. You know, like, I don't know. Brock is probably already on a plane back to the U.S. by now.
he's done. He's out of there. Kind of a good way, right? Sometimes when you're on the card early, it's good to get in and get out.
Well, yeah, you get the people when they're fresh. I mean, traditionally, back in the old NWA days when, like, Flair was the champion, they always stacked the card from the youngest guys to the least. You know, they stacked the cards so, like, the semi-main event would go on second to last, the main event would go on last. WWE had a totally different approach. They would put Hulk on fourth. The main event would go on fourth, then they go to intermission. And you get the people when they're easier, you know, they're not all burnt out. They haven't seen a million things yet. You get them when they're fresh. Then oftentimes they would shoot an angle in that main event match, and during intermission they would announce, hey, our tickets on sale for next time we come back. And you get the people really excited, and you send them to the merchandise stands and stuff. I just think the way Vince changed wrestling, he changed it in all aspects. You know, instead of sitting around waiting, and then the second to the best match goes on second to last, and then the very best match of the night goes on last. Meanwhile, you got to sit through 6 or 7 matches that are kind of like, you know, it drains the audience. It's not a good idea. But you don't know that until you've been exposed to the other option. You know, I just think, I don't know. I'm a mark for Vince.
You are one of the greatest minds, basically, ever in the history of the business. Everyone says that, especially anybody gets to talk to you for even a minute about the business. You know so much. How did you kind of develop such a knowledge? Because, you know, Bischoff says how smart you are. Shawn Michaels, Nash, Triple H, everyone always says how smart you are to the business. How did that kind of knowledge come to be?
I thank you. I don't know. I guess because I was always a big fan and always paid attention. I mean, even before I could work, you know, I had a clue. You know, I knew I was really green. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that, and I knew what I liked, and I paid attention to what worked. I'll never forget one time Arn Anderson told me when I was first starting, he said, listen, he said, kid, I don't know if you know how to yet, but you got to listen to the people. And you don't know that. You got to learn that. You're around for a year or two before you ever even understand what hearing the people means. But he goes, all the things you do that get a reaction, he goes, you keep those. He goes, all the things you do that they don't react to, he goes, you leave that out. He says, pretty soon everything you do gets a reaction. You know, I learned that from Kurt Hennig, too, is like, don't just do stuff because you can. I used to always get on Dallas about that. Dallas would just do moves just because he could. Like, he'd hit you with one move, pick you up, and give you another move instead of just milking the one move. And we used to butt heads about that. I used to tell him no wasted motion, no wasted energy. Like, that was always Perfect's thing. You know, just do as little as you can. You know, I don't know, man. I just have a different theory about it.
And as far as DDP, just kind of thinking back, and you being such a great mind, they kind of attribute you for getting him over. The fact that, you know, they really wanted to push him, and he was starting to get over a little bit. But as soon as he gave you the diamond cutter, and as soon as he knocked Nash out of the ring, boom, sky was the limit. He was over for the rest of his career.
Yeah, we tried to do that with him for weeks because, you know, the NWO was just getting so red hot, and we didn't have anybody to work with. And Dallas was trying so hard to be a heel. I mean, he was chewing gum and smoking a cigar at the same time. He had so many gimmicks. He had the hot girl with him. He had the, you know, self high five. You know, he was doing so much. But if you know the guy, he's really like a natural babyface. Like me and Kev, we're kind of natural pricks. I mean, we're natural heels. Dallas is like a natural babyface. He's a nice guy in life. And once that came out, you know, and one thing about it was because he and Bischoff had a personal relationship, were buddies, Bischoff was hesitant to push him because he didn't want it to look like, you know, well, I'm pushing my buddy. And I'm thinking, who better to push than your buddy, you know? But
yeah,
I don't know. It ended up working out. And Dallas just lives right down the street from me, so everything worked out in the end.
Full circle. You helped him get over, and then he helps you with a lot, your personal stuff and getting you back in shape and stuff. So it's kind of cool to come full circle like that.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's been great.
Now, as far as NWO, you said they were so hot trying to get over, but the NWO in itself, you, especially Nash and obviously Hulk Hogan, and when he turns Hollywood and turns heel, changed the business forever. When you were kind of going through that and that was happening, did you guys know you were changing the business forever? Did you know how hot it was going to be?
Well, it didn't take long because we were paying attention. You got to remember, we came from working for Vince. So we came from the Shark Tank to like this wading pool, and so we were aware that it was working because guys in the locker room thought we still worked for Vince. I mean, other wrestlers thought we still worked for Vince. So we knew that was working. So we just ran with it. We said, yeah, you only get paid by one company? Oh, my God.
So good, and that was so great, and it changed the business forever. You guys were so great. But, as we head towards the wind down, head towards the finish, we took a trip probably back in June or so. We took a long ride, and I had asked you about Dusty Rhodes and your history with Dusty. You told me an unbelievably awesome story about your boots and how, Dusty played such a, pivotal role in your career. I just thought that was so cool, and so it was such an awesome story. Would you mind just kind of just reliving that story with me about Dusty and the boots?
Well, I mean, when I first started, I hadn't had a match yet or anything, and now, Dusty is, in charge of like what my costume is going to be, what I'm going to wear. And he has me wearing these knee-high silver wrestling boots. And back then, man, boots are about $250 a pop, and I don't have that kind of money. But Dusty pays for it and everything, and he never asked me about it. He never said a word about it. And, time went by. I was in Charlotte then. I left Charlotte. I went to Kansas City, kind of floundered there. But then I went to the AWA in Minneapolis where I started to get a break. And, they put me with Mr. Perfect. They put me with Kurt Hennig, and things were going great. Now I got a little bit of money, and we were doing a joint promotion show in Baltimore. The AWA and the NWA were both running Baltimore. So I got to see Dusty for the first time in a long time. And I got to pull him aside. He hugged me and kissed me on the cheek like, baby, I'm so proud of you. You're doing so good. And I said, hey, Dream, I said, you may not remember, but, and I slapped that money in his hand. Shit, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I slapped that money, and my maids are here. I slapped that money in his hand, and it's just a really cool moment, like people who help you, it feels good to pay them back and help them. And we better call it quits, bro. My maids are here, and I don't want to cut them off.
All right, awesome stuff, Scott. Thank you so much for coming on.